the next two sections are called removing the timing belt and the load pulley, and installing the timing belt and load pulley, and lockout removal procedure actually is the third section. So we're gonna try to cover all three of those real quick. I really don't want you guys removing the load pulleys because I think they're set pretty good, and I don't really want to take a chance on something getting messed up just because we're learning. I mean, we already know how to do set screws and do different things like that, and so let's skip the part where you pull the pulleys off and put them back on, and I'm just gonna give you a basic idea what they're wanting you to do, but I don't really want you to do it. Okay. So removing the timing belt and load pulley. It talks in here about using the screwdriver that's included with the kit. By the way, there's a couple more tools in there. There's a couple of these hex keys. One of them's a little bit smaller. One of them's a little bit bigger. I'll show you where they can be used when we get to it. Screwdriver right now, though. We're going to unscrew the cover where the pulleys are, and the motor is attached to the pulley as well as an encoder. So let's talk about this. We unscrew the screw, and then the door is on hinges, so we can open the door here. And the next little part talks about some fault insertion switches, and those switches are just inside this panel right here. And you need to make sure that all of them are turned off. At the very top switch, there's a 0 and a 1. The 0 means that the faults are not in there. So we want to make sure that all these switches are set to where they're on the 0 setting. So they just need to be rocked forward. And all of them are. I'm looking at all of them. There's 6 of them. Okay. So from there, I'm going to talk about the pulleys. This is the pulley that's on the motor itself. There's a 3-phase motor inside here. It's a real small one, but it's an induction squirrel cage motor. And this is an encoder pulley. And we're going to learn a little bit more about encoders later on. But for now, that's what this is. And this is the belt that's in between the two. When the motor turns, it also turns the encoder as well. In between them is a nameplate. All the nameplate data for the motor is right here on this sticker. So keep that in mind because you're going to have to use this when you do your programming a little bit later on. All right. The hex keys, if we were to remove the pulleys, the smaller one's the one that goes to the set screw that's on the pulley itself. So you have to look inside and see where the set screw is. Put the hex key in there and turn it counterclockwise to remove. And I think there's 2 of them on here, so you've got to loosen 2 of them, and this encoder pulley will come off. Same thing, use a small hex key, and then you would use it on the motor pulley. I believe there's only 1 on here for this, so it comes loose pretty easy. And so you loosen it, and this comes off as well. When you put them back on, you reverse the process. You put this pulley back on, and then the belt and the encoder pulley would go on next. The larger hex key would be used if you had taken these off and put them back on and the belt had gotten stretched out, anything like that. We could adjust how tight this is by loosening up these 2 hex bolts that are in here, and then we could slide this plate back and it would tighten the belt up here if it got loose. So that's what the hex keys are used for. All right, the next thing in the process is we're going to remove the lockout tag out, or the lockout. So if this lockout hasp and the padlock are in here, at this point we'd be taking them off. All right, that's all.